In the heart of Europe, Belgium's home to more than 1 million immigrants out of a total population of 11 million. Around 70% are from other EU member states with large Italian, Dutch and French communities. In recent years, Belgian immigration policy towards Europeans has tightened, and more people are having their residency permits withdrawn from 8 in 2008 to more than 2,000 in 2014. Between 2008 and last year, more than 10,000 people were ordered to leave Belgium. To Antwerp in Belgium's Flemish north, where Georgia faces an uncertain future. After 28 years of working for an Italian company, this seamstress decided to set up here with her Belgian partner. Georgia took Dutch classes and worked as a volunteer, but the state employment agency could only tell her she was overqualified for anything they could offer her. In November 2013, the city of Antwerp ordered her to leave.
They took away my Belgian ID card, telling me I had no case in Brussels and that I hadn't made any effort to satisfy the criteria Belgium set for me to stay. It was pure madness.
Georgia's never applied for benefits, but the administration ruled she could have and can, and that she has no chance of finding a job.
I've never asked for help. It's the first thing my partner told the local administration. But they told me it was a preemptive measure in case I did at any time in the future. As if I would ever.
European law allows for the expulsion of Europeans without sufficient resources, but Georgia and her partner Sven have decided to take the matter to court and prove her commitment to becoming integrated. The appeals judge came up with the answer. With a civil union, the pair could get Georgia to apply for residency as the partner of a Belgian citizen, and no longer as a single job seeker.
We're still afraid because it was something we hadn't expected, and we hope now that everything is in order.
Expelled Europeans who haven't been able to sort things out, like Georgia, often continue living in Belgium illegally without papers while seeking other ways to qualify for residency. Most refused to talk to us. One Spanish woman accepted, but on condition we hide her identity, as her case is currently going through the courts. We'll call her Nadia. Today she's meeting two activists from Europe for People, a grouping of Greek, Spanish, Italian and Belgian associations campaigning against the growing number of expulsions of Europeans. Nadia came to Brussels in 2012 and worked as a cleaner until she was injured at work. While recovering, she received benefits and her company sent her to language classes. But in October of last year, her local authority withdrew her residency permit.
They told me, you're European and you came here to work, not study. I tried to explain to them I was studying. They didn't want to listen or even look at my paperwork proving I was looking for work. They gave me 30 days to leave, and that if I didn't, the police would come and fine me.
The European directive allows expulsions of Europeans if they cannot prove they're really looking for work. But one Spanish lawyer says Belgium has put a strict and systematic regime in place that targets unemployed Europeans on benefits.
Belgium is putting into place systematic checks on people who have no resources and expelling them all. The European directive expressly forbids this kind of systematic checking.
Nadia goes to the group's help desk for advice. Europe for People provides free advice and legal counsel. Since Nadia's expulsion, she's lost her benefits, but she's just found a new job and hopes to appeal. Her lawyer underlines the fact that the Belgian authorities notified Nadia of their decision 2 years late, and that they'd refused to recognise her status as a worker on sick leave, and in so doing, they misapplied EU law on workers' mobility.
Under the European rules, being a worker gives you a right of residence. And being a worker isn't just meaning you have to work. It also applies to people who have been working, but who might have an accident at work. So during the time that they are off sick or recovering from their accident, they retain the status of a worker.
It's in the Foreign Office in Brussels that the expulsion decisions are taken, following policy set by the Belgian Migration State Secretary. This is to fight what Belgium considers social tourism by European citizens, considered an unreasonable burden on the country's social security system. According to the office's official figures in 2015, 1,700 EU citizens were ordered to leave Belgium. Most were from Romania, followed by the Spanish, Bulgarians, Italians and Dutch. Since 2011, the Foreign Office has been working closely with the Department of Social Affairs to identify any Europeans on benefits.
If they don't contribute by themselves to the social system, or they never have contributed to the Belgian social system and only get the benefits from it, so then we will withdraw also the status.
Nadia's lawyer takes her case to court for the appeal. Between now and the end of March, he wants to expose 100 expulsion cases he says proves Belgium is being too rigid in its application of EU mobility laws. He hopes his evidence will convince the EU Commission to open a disciplinary procedure against Belgium.
The European rules require that there should be an individual assessment of each person's circumstances before they can be expelled. And what we see, unfortunately, is that that assessment is not individual and personalized enough. These letters that people receive are not detailed enough to enable people to know what kind of documents they should provide. And they're not told that they should get legal advice at that stage.
Anthony Valk, a Belgian lawyer with British roots, wants to compare the figures for expulsions from around Europe. But the statistics are hard to come by. Among the top expellers are France, the UK, the Netherlands and Belgium. Valk works with trade unions in Italy and Belgium to put pressure on the European authorities. The Federal Secretary of the FGTB Belgian trade union meets with his Italian colleague from the CGIL to hammer out the strategy for the next few months. After the UK demanded the right to cut benefits for EU workers, they're worried other EU member states will follow the UK's lead.
I fear that the European Commission, in the context of the Brexit and current migration pressures from within and without the EU, will harden its position. We took a giant step forwards with the free circulation of capital and people, but now the Commission risks damaging this. The case of Belgium may illustrate this risk.
The unions are fighting to ensure that workers like Georgia, who paid her dues for more than 28 years in an Italian factory, do not lose their social rights when they leave their home countries and go to another EU member state.
Everything was fine as long as it was only goods moving around. It was only mozzarellas crossing borders. Now it's not just cheese moving, it's people too. And no one is taking that into account. I get the feeling that each country is strengthening its borders and doesn't see any foreign input as an opportunity.
European laws on the reciprocal recognition of benefits rights exist, but they're not always properly applied by member states. In 2012, 10 million Europeans lived in another member state to their own, or 2% of the total population.